What's up everyone, Darcblade here with a patch information video for Monster Hunter World Iceborne. This video is going to be covering the patch 11.50 for PlayStation 4, otherwise known as 11.5.0.0 for Xbox One. This patch doesn't really have any subtitle, but it does address numerous bug fixes, changes and adjustments. It is also probably paving the way for the upcoming Resident Evil 2 crossover event with Monster Hunter World. Anyway, this patch will be available from November the 7th and is around the 400 megabyte mark. This is for both PlayStation and Xbox, so not too big in terms of sizes. Now as we go through the patch notes, you'll see an Iceborne mark next to some of the changes and fixes. This means it only applies to Iceborne. If it doesn't have this mark next to it, it means that it applies to both the base version of Monster Hunter World and Iceborne. So let's move on to talk about the main additions and changes first. First of all, the point allocation for the free meal skill on the Rex Raw Helm Beta, which is the Brute Tigrex helmet. The skill has been changed from 2 to just 1, so a little bit of a nerf to the helm there. Next, the decoration list order has been updated in accordance with their skills. This change affects the following locations. For example, in your item box, under the sell items, it now affects the decoration tab, and in your item box, under set decorations, under current equipment and equipment box, the order has also been updated there. They also fixed an issue where supply items would not be returned when calling a loadout that contained empty spaces. To me, this is a great change if I've read it right. It's always been a little bit of a pet peeve of mine when you do pick up items from the supply box when you're on a hunt and you go back to your item box to restock. If you did it via quickly selecting a loadout that had spaces, it would delete the supply items. So from the sounds of it, they fixed this and addressed this. However, the supply items will still be deleted though if you restock with a loadout that has no item spaces. So personally, I feel this is a great change, especially when it comes to capture hunts, as the extra shock trap, trank bombs and tool traps I always like to make use of. Next, for some pages in the Monster Field Guide, rare carved materials are now listed according to priority. The materials and chances of obtaining them have not been changed though, so a little adjustment there. But anyway, let's move away from the major additions and changes to talk about bug fixes and balance adjustments. First of all, with the various bases and facilities, so Astera, Saliana, Research Base, they fixed an issue where info on the volcanic region of the Gaiden lands would not be displayed when the world map was opened inside of your base. They also fixed an issue where the Affinity Sliding skill would activate whilst inside the hot springs found in the Saliana Gathering Hub. I don't know what benefit this would provide anyone there, but oh well. They also fixed an issue where the feline helping in the Steamworks would jump with improper timing, so basically when the feline palicos would start jumping in front of the buttons, there was a bug, sometimes they would incorrectly jump, resulting in you potentially putting in the wrong input. And finally they fixed an issue where you couldn't enter your room in Saliana. I've never personally experienced this, but it's a bug that's been fixed nonetheless. But anyway, let's move on to talk about bug fixes and balance adjustments to the various monsters in the game. First of all, they fixed an issue where special tracks would not drop from Scarred Yangaruga in the Gaiden lands. Next, they fixed an issue where if the quest poster paralyzes or stuns a monster and then abandons the quest and other hunters build up mount attack damage, if the quest info screen is opened the moment that the monster exits its binded state, the monster would enter a mounted status and would be incapacitated. So a little bit strangely worded there, I must confess, but nonetheless, a strange bug that I've personally never encountered, but it's fixed nonetheless. Next, they fixed an issue with Barrios landing point when the monster would jump off of a wall. They also fixed an issue where the quest would not be completed if the Dragon Razor hits Valkana while it's in the air. This involves the set piece hunt with Valkana, which is a shame we really can't take advantage of except for once during the story, but things may change further down the line. They also fixed an issue where Valkana would not move its gaze or body to the player's direction. They also fixed an issue where Fogel bugs could not be obtained from Zenoga in arena quests. Fogel bugs are basically the bugs that from Zenoga uses to electrify itself. When you knock Zenoga over, you can use your capture net on its back to capture the Fogel bugs. So with this bug addressed, you should now be able to do this during arena quests. Next, they've adjusted invasion rates for Savage Devil Joe in quests that it has a chance of appearing in. One of the complaints I've heard about Monster Hunter World Iceborne is that Savage Devil Joe shows up way too often. When they say they've adjusted the invasion rates, I wonder if this has increased it or decreased it. Hopefully it's a decrease. Also, next they fixed an issue where players in base camp would be hit by Lunostra's Hellfire attack. I've never personally experienced this, but it's bringing back flashbacks of the Ecliptic Meteor from Behemoth. And they also fixed an issue where Azure Rathalos would get stuck on the outer edge of pathways when in the Ancient Forest. And finally, with the monster bug fixes, they fixed an issue where under specific conditions, Kushala Daora's head could not be broken at all. Maybe this is why I've been having such a hard time fighting this monster in Iceborne, but I'll have to wait and see and do some testing when the patch is out. So that's it for the monster changes. Let's move on to talk about player bug fixes and balance adjustments. First, they fixed an issue where, when the gun lance doesn't have the worm stake shot loaded, a jump-in reload smash wouldn't be performed when using a lunging up thrust to scale a wall. Basically, when you perform the lunging thrust, so forward and triangle, forward and Y into a wall, normally you would go up into it and perform the jump-in reload smash. But this wouldn't occur if the worm stake shot wasn't loaded. This has now been addressed and should work properly. Next, they fixed an issue where weapons would display unnaturally when attempting to attack after a temporal mantle evade, after performing the charge blade's amped elemental discharge. Also, the clutch claw can now perform claw attacks after grappling onto a monster while mounted. They also fixed an issue where the hitbox of the clutch claw's wyvern heart would disappear if the player sank into the ground while grappling onto the monster. It is now fixed, so it now has an attack hitbox. The clutch claw wyvern heart applies to the heavy bowguns. Also, grappling point priority has been adjusted, so it's easier to grapple onto the locations that the clutch claw hits. This is a good change for me, as I find sometimes I accidentally grapple onto body parts that I didn't intend to. On my screen it looks like I'm going to attach myself to the head, but instead I end up attaching myself to the wing or the leg for some reason. Hopefully this fix should address that. They also fixed an issue where players sliding due to Velkhana's frost would only happen on the host's side. It will now occur on the guest side as well. They also addressed an issue where the hunting horn couldn't perform melodies directly stopped from echo attacks, so a fix to the hunting horn there. They also fixed an issue while using the hammer. A hunter would perform a flinching shot immediately after grappling to a monster, regardless of if the player could control the hunter or not. I'm surprised I actually haven't heard about this bug, as I know quite a few hammer mains. Anyway, they also fixed an issue that caused irregular behaviour when using the heavy bowgun's special scope was used while the mind's eye or ballistic skill was equipped. I believe some heavy bowgun users out there are going to be annoyed because this means that the irregular behaviour stated applies to normal shots, but I'm not a heavy bowgun main, so I cannot comment too much on this fix or adjustment. They also fixed an issue where decoration info would remain when overwriting an equipment loadout with a decoration equipped mantle with a loadout with no mantle. Again, a little bit of a strangely worded change there, but a little bit of a fix nonetheless. Also, they fixed an issue where decorations would be removed from a mantle when calling up a registered loadout, even though the mantle has decorations in it. They also fixed an issue where hunters would perform an animation inappropriate to the item obtained when mining from mining outcrops. And finally, they fixed an issue where the Tailrider's signal position wouldn't be saved when calling up an item loadout from your item box. So that's it for the player bug fixes and changes. Let's move on to talk about the next little section, which are miscellaneous bug fixes and adjustments. First of all, they fixed an issue where Palico weapons would activate with positive affinity despite the weapon itself having negative affinity. This is a bug that has existed for a long while now, so in all honesty it's a nerf to our Palico's damage output. But I'm sure testing will be needed to see if this is applied to every single Palico weapon out there. They also fixed an issue where the returning to base option would be displayed when travelling to the Hoarfrost Reach via the world map whilst on an expedition. They also fixed an issue where players could not talk to the Linean researcher under specific conditions, thus not being able to obtain the Surveyor set, which is basically the camera in Monster Hunter World. They also fixed an issue where only the regular size of certain fish could be caught. I've not even delved into fishing yet, so I didn't know this was a bug. They also fixed an issue where certain endemic life could not have their size fluctuation behave properly. They also fixed an issue where the appearance rate of moles would greatly increase when the feline Zoomaster skill was activated. When they say fixed an issue, I'm wondering if they mean they've actually nerfed the Zoomaster skill, so the rare moles and the rate at which they appear is going to be reduced. I hope this isn't the case, as farming all the rare mollies was quite an annoyance, and in a way I'm glad I've got them all done already. There is a dedicated video elsewhere on the channel about the rare mollies and how to get them all if you're interested in collecting them, but be aware after this patch it may be a little bit more difficult to get them all to spawn. They also fixed an issue where switching active squads to a squad with a player who deleted their account would fail. They also adjusted the quest completion time limit for the event quest Farewell to the Frozen. Next, and a big one for me personally, is they fixed an issue where quest members would disconnect from quests located in the Elder's Recess. There's been a bug with the Elder's Recess, and I was hoping that this patch would address it, and it seems to be the case. Basically, if you had a quest in the Elder's Recess, to which there are a lot of them, normally some of the rarer monster types, Gold Rathian and Silver Rathalos for example, can only really be found in the Elder's Recess, and trying to do these quests with multiple players meant that you had to deal with disconnects or workarounds. Normally the workaround was to enter as a 3-man squad and then the 4th member joins whilst the quest is in progress. But with this change we shouldn't have to worry about that anymore. Fingers crossed anyway. They also fixed an issue that occurred in the Guiding Lands where, while fighting a monster that has been lured out, if another monster that was originally in the location appears, the focus camera or target camera would suddenly change targets. And finally, other minute game balance tweaks and minor bug fixes have also been made, but Capcom have not stated what these are in the patch notes. So that's about it for the miscellaneous bug fixes and adjustments. Let's move on to the final section, which are correction changes, bug fixes and such. For the following event quests, adjustments have been made, but no notice was given to players. These include a new troublemaker in town, the rewards have been adjusted downwards as of the previous patch, patch 11.01, and the challenge quest 2, Master Rank Intermediate, the monster difficulty was decreased and the completion time has been adjusted. Loadout 5, the heavy bowgun, contains 2 destroyer jaws and thus it has to be updated. Capcom then state that the quests are performing as expected and there are no issues, but we apologise for not letting players know about the updates beforehand. So there we have it, that is all the information and patch notes we have been given in regards to patch 11.50. Now whilst it doesn't state it, I am sure this patch is also paving the way for the upcoming collaboration events to do with Horizon Zero Dawn and Resident Evil 2, but they weren't specified in the notes. There could be a little minor update on top of this one for when those crossover events occur, but considering that the Resident Evil one is going to be available from the 8th of November, I highly doubt it. But we'll have to wait and see as always. But what are your thoughts? Leave a comment down below, and until next time, I've been Darcblade, bringing you a patch information video regarding patch 11.50 for Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.